Hi, I'm OZ Hall. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. This is the second video in a series on the new modules from AMSynths that extend the Behringer 2500 series in eurorack format. Check out the link above for a video outlining the list of these AMSynths modules. This video covers the AM1028 Sequential Volts slave module. Per the AMSynths product page, quote, "This 8 HP module expands the capability of the Behringer 1027 sequencer by adding an additional column of variable control voltages. The module connects to the B1027 with an included 12-way ribbon cable," end quote. AMSynths have an excellent introduction video for this module. See the link above to their short video. The concept of this module is very simple. Add another column of potentiometers and another voltage output to the B1027 sequencer. The implementation is straightforward as well. The only variation on the theme is that in addition to the 10-volt outputs, you have a precision 2-volt output that allows you to fairly easily tune each step accurately by hand. AMSynths includes a special 12-pin cable to connect the Behringer 1027 sequencer to the AM1028 Sequential Volts module. This cable is the same as the cable included with the 1050 mix sequencer to slave it to the 1027 sequencer. I wanted to also connect a second 1028 as well as my 1050 mix sequencer. AMSynths created a custom cable and included it at no extra charge with my 1028 Sequential Volts module purchase. This cable allows me to slave the two 1028 Sequential Volts modules and a 1050 mix sequencer to my 1027 sequencer. It also has an extra connector so that I can add a third 1028 module at a later time. It's virtually impossible to take the 10-volt output from a Behringer 1027 sequencer channel and tune an oscillator to a precise pitch. This is a 10-octave tuning range. I always use an attenuator to get the range of each channel output to either 1 volt or 2 volts. It's easy and inexpensive to add a 2 HP passive attenuator to your system to limit the range to 1 or 2 octaves. It does, however, introduce the possibility of the attenuator becoming knocked out of adjustment and losing the tuning for the entire channel. If you do not want to get a separate attenuator module, you could route the B1027 channel output to a 1004 VCO FM input, which already has an attenuator. In my experience, having a precision 2-volt output makes this sequencer expander a joy to work with. Going forward, I plan to use the output of the AM1028 for precision tuning control and the B1027 10-volt outputs to control other parameters. Next, we'll take a look at some use cases. The first use case, and most obvious, is to take the 2-volt output from the AM1028 Sequential Volts, route it through a multiple and into the CV input, the keyboard control voltage input of 1004 VCO. Let's listen to the sequence that we've created. We could also use a 1028 to control the clock on the 1027. This will allow us to create a rhythm. I've set up some of these to be 0 volts, which would be a half note, most of them to be 1 volt, which would be a quarter note, and some of them to be 2 volts, which would be an eighth note. Let's listen to that rhythm. And then with a little delay. if you're covering the rhythm and the pitch, what are you going to do with these other 3 channels of output? And the answer is we're going to use them as a waveform generator. And we're going to do that by patching them into the first 3 odd-numbered inputs on a 1050 mix sequencer. In order for this to be properly pitched, we're going to take a square wave output and put that into the external advance, and we do not have this synced to the 1027 with the cable in the back. It is just free running based on the advance. So let's listen to that. We'll take the output and we're going to route it through this 1047 as a phase shifter. What we're doing here is for each of these outputs, we're going into an input and we're setting it at a level, and as we change these voltages, we change the waveform. Now let's add an envelope generator, and we'll run the sequence again, and we're going to turn down the original output and just listen to the output from here. And again, it's going through this 1047 filter operating as a phase shifter. Let's take the direct output and listen to it so we can listen to the different waveforms that we've got. So you can hear the different harmonic content. So let's listen to that again, and we'll play around with these different outputs, including the phase shifted waveform out, the original oscillator, and the digital delay. One other variation that I want to show is that if you take the LFO output and route it in as an input number 7, you can have some interesting waveform variations akin to pulse width. And let's listen directly to the output. And we'll turn up that LFO input. Which gives you a nice variation, and we'll just listen to that. And there you have the first 3 use cases using the 1028 Sequential Volts modules. Use case number 4 is also fairly straightforward. We've got our main melody coming off of this 1028, and we're routing the 3 channel outputs through this attenuator and 3 different channels of that attenuator, and going into inputs 1, 2, and 3 on the 1050 mix sequencer. And we're just using the 1050 mix sequencer as a sequential switch for the 3 channels. And what that's going to do is give us one repeating 8-step sequence and another 24-step sequence. And the 24-step sequence is being routed down to this oscillator and through this voice. And let's listen. Like I said, that's fairly straightforward. That's use case number 4. In use case number 5, we're going to take channel C, and instead of using it for pitch, we're going to use it as a gate. And whenever we've got a knob all the way up, there's going to be a gate on, and we've only got 2 of those here. Otherwise, the gate is off. And so we've got that going into this envelope and firing that envelope on the 1st and 4th steps. And the envelope is going into this filter, and we'll turn off the envelope for the moment, and we'll turn off voice 1, and let's just listen. That's with no accents, and I'll add the accent here. And now let's bring in voice 1. And that's a nice way to make an accent. You could also route that output directly to the filter and control the filter cutoff directly, but I kind of like the envelope idea. So those are 5 use cases for using the extra 2 columns that we have for a total of 5 control voltages that are all under the control of the 1027. If you're still watching, thanks for that. Please like and subscribe to be notified when the next episode in this series is released. We looked at the AM1028 Sequential Volts module. It integrates nicely to provide 1 or more additional voltage outputs for your Behringer 1027 sequencer. I think AMSynths have done a great job of getting the look right. With all of those CV outs, you can control anything on your synth that has a CV input. Obviously, pitch is important. We've also used the CV outputs to control timbre with wave shaping. You can also directly control pulse width or filter cutoff frequency. Using the CV as a gate allows you to trigger other events. We use those gates to create accent events by triggering an envelope routed to a 1047 filter cutoff frequency. Can you think of any other uses for the CVs or gates? Let us know in the comments. Thanks again for watching.